But Ramana makes it very simple for us in his teachings. It's a wonderful teaching. Many people, they will consider a particular person or a particular body-mind to be the teacher, to be the guru. And Ramana corrects this and says, no, that's the outer guru. The body-mind is an outer guru. And the purpose of the outer guru, or the guru just means teacher, by the way. The purpose of the outer guru or outer teacher, the teacher in the form of the body-mind, is just to point you inwards to yourself, which is the true teacher. In Sanskrit, Satguru. Sometimes Sat means truth or reality or real. So Satguru or Sadguru means the true teacher, means this teacher here, metaphorically speaking, here in our hearts, within us. You'll see the word Sat spelled S-A-T. You'll also see it spelled S-A-D. So T for tango, D for delta, S-A-T, S-A-D. Same word in Sanskrit. When they transliterate it to Roman text, which is what we write the English language in, you'll see it spelled differently. So the outer guru is just an appearance. That outer guru, as an appearance or a body-mind, was born at a particular place, at a particular time, and then will die at a particular place and a particular time, right? So people used to say to Ramana that there's a long tradition, let's say in the Hindu tradition, that you need a living guru, meaning you need a body-mind who's a guru to learn this teaching. And Ramana says, well, what use is there of a living guru if they're going to die? How is this going to bestow you eternal grace, eternal knowledge? Now, he never denied the importance of a living guru, because undoubtedly the appearance of a living guru is very important for many. But we don't need that, because the only thing the living guru or the outer guru does is encourage us, tell us, help us turn within, gives us faith to turn within. Well, it might sound strange that this ourself is the teacher, but this is the way it is. And it's on two different levels. Again, Ramana tells us this story, or something like it. I might mess it up slightly. But he tells us that when we start to long for happiness or liberation, at some point we pray to God. At some point, maybe when you're younger, you didn't have faith in God. You don't believe in God. Then as you get older and you get more desperate and you suffer more and you get more desperate, you start to say, oh God, save me from this stuff. You start turning to God. Maybe you don't know if God's real or not. You start turning to God and you start developing faith in God. And eventually, after some time of devotion to God, that is a deity, God will then manifest a teacher, a living teacher. After spending time with this living teacher, if you meet the true teacher, eventually you'll meet the true teacher, if that wasn't the first one. The true teacher will tell you to turn within, turn towards the subject, the I am, the self, the drig. Drig means the seer, the subject. And then you discover that you are, you as in the essence, the heart, the truth, the beingness is God, which is the true guru. So you are God. So you created the whole cycle. You created the outer God that you prayed to. You created the outer guru, the name form, and then you discovered what you are. This is the way it happens, tends to happen. And then you discover that is what you are. You are that all along. In another way, the self is the true teacher, because once we start to pay attention to it, ourself, we lose ourself. And we merge into that, our true self. We lose, when I say we lose ourselves, what am I talking about? Must be the ego. We can't lose our true self. Can never lose our true self. So when I say you lose yourself, what must I be talking about? I must be talking about the false identity. You lose yourself. And then what draws you in like a magnet is our true self, draws ourself to ourself. And that magnetism, that spiritual magnetism, that divine magnetism, that divine attraction, also known as love and devotion. Our true self is so beautiful, so wonderful. We long to be with it and merge into it and be it. And this is the true teaching, the true teacher. The outer guru is at best like a signpost that ushers you and encourages you and at times compels you and by various means urges you and encourages you to attend to a certain direction, namely towards the self. But once you start attending to the self, you start to move away from the outer. Until then, the outer is very important, or seems very important. Now, the outer, if you think about it, includes everything that is commonly thought of as being spiritual. So we're talking about scriptures, we're talking about teachers, we're talking about teachings, we're talking about satsangs like this. This is all outer. Worship, prayer, devotion, chanting, all these things, all the spiritual paraphernalia, all the external manifestations of spirituality, that is all outer. And eventually we turn inwards and we start seeing the utter superficiality of all that outer stuff that once upon a time was very important to us. Now it just seems utterly silly, not silly, utterly superficial, not silly. It's like it becomes translucent. It seemed to have so much substance, and now it becomes empty of substance. Generally, I would say it's good to involve yourself in these spiritual superficialities. It's good. do that. Why? Because at some points, because the mind is very fickle, at some points, you'll be able to turn within, maybe very easily, and you'll be highly motivated to do so. And the mind may well think, oh, I don't need the outer anymore. But then some time later, maybe a very short time later, the mind will be engrossed in outer things. It'll forget its way. This is the value of living teacher, coming to satsang, reading scriptures, worship, prayer, etc., etc. Is that they keep you consistently on the path. During the good times, you might not think you need them so much, but it's when you slip off the path that these things become very useful. Is that helpful to understand that?
Yes, that was great. I understand now. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for the question, Julie. You're very welcome. Just before I come to Shannon, if you have never really spent time turning within, or if you have never really successfully been able to turn within deeply for whatever reason, you won't realize just how powerful this inner teacher is. You won't realize it. But the opposite is also true. Once you have successfully turned within to a degree, you cannot go back to other teachers, other teachings. Once you turn within successfully, you start to realize, this is understanding on a deeper level what Ramana's teachings are. Once you have actually successfully been able to turn within to a degree, to abide as the self to a degree, not necessarily fully, but just to a good degree, this is when Bhagavan's teachings really come alive, not before. And when Bhagavan's teachings really come alive, my experience at least, is that the discernment, the ability to discern a true from a false teaching just goes off the scale. Because until then, all these teachings may seem quite similar. You get people who say, oh, they're all saying the same thing in different ways. I would say they're all maybe they're all pointing in the similar direction in different ways, but they're not saying the same thing in different ways. You start to realize, oh gosh, this teaching is way deeper, way more effective than other teachings that do not. Then when I say other teachings, I mean teachings that do not encourage you to turn away from objective phenomena and towards the I am. Once you get a taste of it, then you'll see for yourself, oh, this is the true teaching. Every other teaching is actually a false teaching. Every other teaching is a false teaching. This is the only true teaching. Now remember, when I say false teachings can be very helpful to us along the way. Remember that. False just means it doesn't ultimately, by itself, take you directly to liberation. It doesn't mean it's useless or you shouldn't engage with it. Every teaching has its place, as long as there's something genuine there. But my essential message is, once you start to turn within and abide as a self, you realize the depth of it. And it's very difficult to then take seriously the other teachings that don't encourage you to turn within. But you have to have had that kind of experience to realize this. You start to, when Bhagavan says this world is an illusion, This world is a dream. We can cast it away. It's very difficult to do that if you think this is real and you think you're actually a person. It's impossible. You can't. How can you let go of everything that is dear to you and real if you think it's real and you consider it dear to you? You cannot. But once you have turned within successfully to a degree or a number of times, you start to see, oh, this is like an illusory appearance. And your faith in the teaching grows even stronger. But until then, you're really, you're just engaging with, if you haven't done that, you're just engaging with the superficial or verbal aspect of Bhagavan's teachings. Even this is nice. Don't get me wrong. That's fine. But there's a deeper aspect. This is why Shankara in Vivekachudamani says that hearing the teachings is good. Better than hearing the teachings is reflecting upon the teachings, thinking about the teachings. Better than reflecting upon the teachings is to practice turning within. And best of all is to abide as the self, samadhi. He uses the Sanskrit words. It's very good to listen to teachings, Shravana. Better than Shravana is Manana. Better than Manana is Nididhyasana. And the best is Samadhi, which means to abide as the self in this context. In this context, it means to abide as the self. And Shankara, he uses some word. He uses, like he says, I think it's like 100 times better than hearing the teachings is reflecting, and 1,000 times better is turning within, and 10,000 times better is this. And then I think he says samadhi is infinite in its results. So he's got the whole number system going on there, emphasizing the point he's trying to make. It's not a mathematical point, of course, it's a qualitative point. It's not the quantitative thing. It's the quality. There's total difference in quality between a teaching that encourages you to turn within, and then when you do that, it's totally different to a teaching that stays on the level of objects. And as I said, if you haven't had that experience, it's very difficult to discern the difference. And this is why you get so much differing opinions. Some people say, oh, it's just the same teaching in different ways. And once you've had that experience, you start to see, oh no, that teaching isn't recommending you turn within. That's fundamentally a different teaching. Uses similar words, but it's very different. So it's funny because this is why I'm so grateful to Bhagavan for teaching this teaching, which is such a rare teaching. Very rare teaching. It has many other teachings that sound like it, but very few that are actually it. But the irony is, where has Bhagavan come from? Me. I've created Bhagavan. Everything comes from me. Remember, not Tom. Tom has also come from me. Me means the self. This is the true teacher. Me. I am. I. And for you, you. Everything that appears is you. You have created it. It's an illusion, illusory appearance that you've created for yourself. It's one of the ironies, one of the paradoxes.